حلمي للمنطقة إن إحنا نقرب من بعض أكتر وندور على الحاجات اللي إحنا فيها شبه بعض، نبعد عن الاختلافات لأن الاختلافات دايما مضرنا. Welcome to the MEM Sessions. You are listening to Radio Gwen.
Please, I'll go ahead. My name is Younes Zangiabadi. I am the co-founder and deputy director of the Institute for Peace and Diplomacy, which is a foreign policy think tank operating both in Canada and the US. We work to promote diplomacy, dialogue, and constructive engagement, both in North America, but beyond across the world as well.
And I'm Tom Vizel. I'm the head of the educational department of NOAL, the Working and Learning Youth Movement, the largest Jewish Arab youth organization in Israel. And I'm the founder of Formina Network, which is a network that encounters youth organizations from across the MENA, Middle East, North Africa region.
I grew up in Iran till I was 17 before I left the country, and you mainly get the same narratives that are either portrayed to you and kind of communicated to you by the government or the same people or network that you have. But when I left Iran and I went to Canada, I was exposed to other communities, other ways of thinking, and I just became more interested in having dialogue and understand how others think. And it's easy to, kind of be in the same bubble, approve each other of how we think and how we operate. But what is very important in these days that you have, social media, different ways of thinking, that you engage with those that do not think like you. One of the conferences that we organized, I invited Ambassador Wolfgang Bullhardt, who is the Swiss Special Envoy for the MENA region, and he told me about the MEM Summit and how this is a great platform to engage with young people across the region. When I heard about MEM and I heard that there is an organization, there's a team that focuses on the same idea of having dialogue, but among the youth, that opportunity to talk, and not only talk, but also work together through workshops, activities, was a fascinating idea, which made me interested to even come back, and I will be still continuing to contribute and help even in different capacity if possible, because it's just an amazing initiative that is happening here in Lugano.
I would say my life story, I grew up in the Working and Learning Youth Movement. Just a little bit more about that. It's a 90,000 participants organization, a majority of Jewish people in Israel, but we have 20,000 Arab youth. And growing up in this movement, I think one of our challenges is to confront this basic fear between the differences in Jews and Arabs. So what we do is we do a lot of encounters. And growing up in the organization, I had the opportunity to confront this fear from the other and actually realize that we're talking about human beings on the other side. Of course, there are differences and there are conflicts, but I think when you confront or you encounter with the other, it's an opportunity to actually maybe to look and search for another path and maybe even solve some things, right? I had this crazy idea 2 years ago that because of the Abraham Accords, we are able as Israelis and other participants and organizations from the region to might do something in civil society work. And one day I met an interesting guy, originally from Italy, called Gabriele Segre, and he talked with me about my ideas, and he said that I need to go to the MEM and to apply to the MEM, and it would be a good opportunity to meet amazing people and to make my work better. I applied and I got here last summer, and I had this amazing life-changing experience which actually really helped me forward on with developing the Formina network. Coming here to the MEM is actually even a few more steps forward, because meeting people from other countries that my country does not have relationship with is actually a way, and the MEM is a path, and Lugano, Switzerland is a path to even imagine further steps to the future, hopefully. And we're building something which is more a civil society work. We're not diplomats, we're not economy people, we're not doing security issues. We are more encountering and actually kind of trying to raise and to be part of this new generation that hopefully will build new solutions to the region challenges.
Basically, what really matters, and this is something that we discuss at MEM, the narrative. It's the narrative and the discourse of how we think is basically defining the next actions, the next steps. And what happens at MEM is that those narratives that we have in mind when we join or when we come to MEM differs from what we experience at MEM. And when you see those narratives being challenged and redefined, then you see, relations and, cooperations happen. Because I live in Canada, I have had the chance to work with Israelis, but I've never had a chance to spend, for example, 10 days with somebody from Israel, but also other countries to work together on some projects that we all care about and basically experience how you can work with those that you do not even consider and envision working when you live, for example, in a country like Iran or others across the region. So I think that experience is what redefines the narrative. It's not something that, you experience it for 10 days and then you expect, okay, after this 10 days something magical is going to happen and we're going to have peace in the Middle East. No, but the mindset is kind of planted within your brain, and then when people that, attend MEM who are all very well accomplished and great people and will be great leaders in the future, then they have that mindset inside them that, hey, we can work with one another. And I think that's very important and that we've all gained through our participation in MEM.
30 years ago, maybe, and for sure 50, 60 years ago, I would assume that people from France and Germany would not imagine that their grandchildren will meet, will go to study in one another countries, will make friendships. It looked like unconceivable. And nowadays, for many reasons, of course, as I said, security issues, economical issues, but to add to that, educational and counter reasons, like Erasmus programs and others, this actually created a different European region that we all I think admire in the MENA region, and this is, I think, the MEM as an attempt to approach the MEM, the MEM region, and saying, listen, if it happened in Europe, and I think Europe, we all know how bloody and full of war it used to be, and hopefully it's a thing of the past. If Europe could change, other regions can change as well. That's in the conceptual level. And at a more personal level, I think we just interacted last year, and I think we just had a great time together. We were just talking, we were laughing, we were having nice lunches and dinners, and I think in a friendship level, we were talking throughout the year. I'm actually very proud, I'm talking with friends, I'm saying, oh, I have this friend, he's from Iranian, Canadian, and everybody's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's possible, it's actually possible. Yeah. So you change yourself, but at the same time, you're affecting your environment as well, and I think it's meaningful.
I know that it's going to cause some issues. If, for example, I want to go back to Iran, there may be some, questions of why, you go to these places, you work with Israelis and Americans, and some countries that, at the government level, they have problems with one another. But again, I think when I think about these potential issues, I try to look at them from a broader perspective, and also see that this is not going to be an issue in the long term. And as we see in the region, 10 years ago, for example, Iran and Saudi Arabia, they had issues. Now you see them meeting. The Abraham Accord is a great example. You see that now Arab and Israelis, they used to work with one another within Israel's closer proximity, like Egypt and Jordan. But now you see that expanded with GCC countries, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain. Morocco is also, another part of the region. So you see that in the long term, people and countries have no alternatives but to work with one another. And Europe is a great example. You saw the World War I, the World War II, but now Europeans are working with another. You have the European Union. I'm not suggesting we're going to have a European Union in the MENA region very time soon, but I think the ideas and these little agreements here and there, then they come together to converge, and then in the long term, I think there's not going to be an issue, for example, to talk to that person from that country country or this person from this country.
So to add to that, regarding the family and how people react, first of all, I want to say, coming here to Lugano, to the MEM, I think for majority, maybe I guess all the participants, this is a really safe space. This is what Switzerland is all about, this country and the city and the MEM. And I feel it, from the moment you land, and the environment is very all about that, all about knowing the past, knowing the present, but focusing on the future and creating a safe space for everybody to talk about it, to create, to imagine, and as my colleague said, it's not going to be solved now, but might be in the future. So yeah, I think the majority of people surrounding me are feeling safe, and I feel safe, and I think it's really good, and actually kind of excited, and they're like wondering, so do people ask you what's going on in Israel? And I was like, it's interesting, like everybody thinks that he's the center of the world, each country, each story, each narrative, you're talking about narratives, and I think the MEM is all about, wait a minute, of course, everybody has his own story, and it's important to keep that. But in the same time, if we kind of take the broader look, we can see other stories, which brings your perspective, and maybe we can create a common story as well, which is the challenge I think we're facing.